Right, so we find ourselves in a pretty unusual situation, but Oliver Glasner, deservedly, is getting plaudits. I know a few people on the playing staff at Palace, and his attention to detail and things like recovery, nutrition, the sports science of it goes back to sort of Arsene Wenger levels, that he's even pushing that further, without giving the details away, you know, even to the level of what water you drink and when, which I find fascinating. By the way, I think it's an incredible stat. Since the start of 2025, only Liverpool, City and Arsenal have earned more points than Glasner.
Yeah.
36 points.
And they're now on this long unbeaten
18
run.
games.
How many is it now?
18.
18 games, which is the longest unbeaten run anywhere in Europe and equals a club record that goes back to the year of my birth, 1969, 56 years.
Bloody hell.
Club record. And Gordon, I'm about to take words out of your mouth, but they're doing it on the back of structure, doing it on the back of purpose, they're doing it on the back of square pegs in square holes rather than square pegs in round holes that other clubs are trying to do. Common sense, practical, strategic football management.
Yeah. See, what I say with Palace as well, they've sold some quality players.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's amazing.
And also Mark De Gea, also that was on transfer deadline day, he was on the verge of signing for Liverpool. What I love about Glasner as well is he's not a coach who comes out and speaks a lot. You know, he could have spat his dummy out and said, look, I've sold all my best players.
He's not grandstanding, is he?
No,
There's a modesty about him.
He seems to just do his business and the results come with his business.
Well, they lost to Lise and got better, didn't they?
Yeah, and they've lost, going back to, everybody thought it was the end of days when Wilfried Zaha left. And subsequently they've lost to Lise, now they've lost Eze as well. Yeah. But that's what well-run football clubs.
Have you interviewed him, by the way? Have you sat down with him?
I haven't sat down with him up with Glasgow on my own. I've been with him in a group. I was certainly with him in the interview area after the cup final last year, when even Steve Parish admitted that they weren't sure they were going to be able to keep him. There's a certain depth about Glasner for sure, and there's a certain. He strikes me as a very real person. Yeah. Can't claim to know that much about him really. Strikes me as a very real person, and certainly has a deep conviction in his beliefs.
What about Sunderland as well, by the way? I know this is going to make you cringe, Mark, hearing this, but Sunderland look like they've played a blinder in the transfer window, but also they just seem like a club well run again. Again, to give you the contrast of that, Sunderland Till I Die was painful viewing for 9 years, 10 years? Newcastle fans have been loving it, but what a transformation.
So I think just trying to tie the two clubs together in a way, and to go back to what I said about structure and planning, for example. So Glasner at the moment likes to play a back three, and the three of them, Gale, Acquire and Richards, 11 clean sheets from the 20 games they've started together. He's got two wing backs in Mitchell and Munoz, who are wing backs. They are wing backs. It's what they do. I think they've run more than anybody in the Premier League. Those two, 42 miles and 39 miles so far.
That's wild, by the way.
Over 6 games.
Yeah, to do that consistently.
And he's got. I love a couple of quotes here from Glasner that I dug out of a piece that my colleague James Sharp wrote on Mail Sports website when he did a tactical breakdown of Palace over the weekend. He said there is too much discussion about systems. It's not important. Habits and patterns are more important. I have played every system during my managerial career. I will always look at what best suits the players that I have. And again, without punting that forward too much onto Amorim, who just refuses to change. So there you go. We talk all the time, don't we, about flexibility as a manager. And you mentioned Sunderland, and they've done it. They've been the same. Flexibility. Very briefly, they've been owned by Kyril Lewis-Dreyfus now for best part of 4 or 5 years. 2021, he took over. His policy was very clear. He said, they've been in League One, they've been in the Championship, and their policy was, we will buy young players and we will develop them and we will sell them. And if we can move up the leagues at the same time, all the better. Something about this, of the 60 players that they've signed on Dreyfus's watch, apparently there's only a handful that have been over the age of 24 years old, okay? And then they get promoted. They get promoted with this incredibly young team, and they win a playoff final that nobody thought they were going to win. If you watch it back again, you sometimes wonder how they did win it, but they won it. All of a sudden, I think, shit, we're in the Premier League. We're in the Premier League, and we've got a team of kids. Yeah. And we've got a policy that we have bought into, and we've got a policy that we've convinced our supporters to buy into. But if we stick to it, we're coming straight back down. So we're not going to rip it up, but we are going to massively tweak it. So what did they do? They continue to buy, and they've bought young players, but they have also bought substantial amount of senior experience.
Xhaka looks like a great signing, eh?
Of the 11 who started the playoff final, how many against Sheffield United in May? How many do you think started the weekend's win at Forest?
I would say none.
Three.
Was it three?
Yeah. Three.
Right.
Okay, they've changed everything. All right, they've even changed the goalkeeper. Now that's very difficult if you're one of those players who's got your club promoted. But that's what they decided to do. They've absolutely tweaked it, and lo and behold, they score a winning goal at Forest at the weekend that is scored by Omar Alderete, who's 29 years old, and the pass was played by Granit Xhaka, who was 33 years old on that day. There you go.
Yeah,
you develop. You look at what you've got and think, we've got to change it because it's not going to work. They go to Man United on Saturday, who are already down in the doldrums again, all because of the same problem. They won't change.
They won't change, and
they
that's the
can't change.
Perfect point to mention it, isn't it? Because Amorim seems to be completely wedded to this, but at some point, time's going to run out, isn't it? Because if you look at it now, that 3-1 defeat at Brentford, the 17th Premier League loss United have suffered during his 33 games in charge. That's some stat, isn't it? 34 points, so he's got an average of 1 point per game, 1.03 points per game.
So in old money, that'd be relegation form.
Well, it would be. And if you think about
well, these days you only need about 25 points to stay up. But
the sixth worst performance in the Premier League era. That is. Why is he still in the job?
So if before I answer that question, I was at the game at Brentford at the weekend. And if you were an alien and you dropped down into a seat at the G-Tech to watch that game, you watch the game at the end of it, you say, right, which is a big team there and which is a little team? Because often little teams beat big teams on the back of incredible defending, great goalkeeping, a bit of luck. That wasn't that. You just said, oh, that team in the red and white stripes, they're the big team. That team in the yellow and black, they're the little team. That's the way it was. Brentford were just better. They were just better from the first moment to the last. Why is he still in the job? Because they can't afford, I don't mean financially, they can't afford to keep changing it. They can't keep spinning the wheel again.
He's the worst in 80 years, though. The worst record in 80 years.
There's no evidence from what you see for him to be retained.
Yeah.
Are the results getting better? No. Is the policy of ins and outs at the club getting better? No. Is he developing individual players getting better? No.
So tell me about this then, Ian, because I found it really interesting hearing Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes talk about how well run Arsenal are because Arteta has such a big say in who's signed at the club. How much of a say is Amorim had in those signings? Because there's quite an extensive, if you call it that, director of football tier. There's quite a big team there, isn't there? How much of a say does he have?
We've gone from the Eric Ten Hag, but I actually was talking to somebody who I have to be careful not to give away who it was. I was talking to somebody about 3 weeks ago. I actually bumped into him in a pub in Manchester. And this person knows, and it's a kind of first-hand source. And he told me, for example, Matthijs de Ligt. The only person in the football club who wanted Matthijs de Ligt was Eric Ten Hag. Recruitment staff, football heads, all of saying no. He's just a Dutch version of Harry Maguire. Okay, we don't need him. Okay, and Eric was like, no, he's the one for me. I want him. Eric gets his way, just like Eric got his way with some other players such as Anthony and many others. Yeah. So United is trying to move away from that, and they have moved away from that to a degree. And by the way, let's not write that the players that they've signed this summer. To be fair, Cunha and Bomo, they're good footballers. Okay, let's not start laying into those quickly too early. But what Amorim isn't doing, he's just not getting a tune out of the players that he's got. It's not the best Man United squad in the world, of course it's not. No. But it's certainly a top half Premier League squad. It's probably a top 8 Premier League squad, and because of his one of the
stubbornness, isn't there? There's a stubbornness here.
We talk about his system, right? Two things that really alarmed me at the weekend. One was to watch players playing in positions in which they're not comfortable.
Yeah, wing backs.
Diallo, great player. Make the most of him. Fernandes, great player. Play him in the position where you know he can play. And then afterwards, Amorim comes into press conference and sits there and says, yeah, all the things that happened today, the way that Brentford scored their goals, oh yeah, we knew that was how they were going to do it. And we worked on that all week. But then when it came to the game, the players didn't do it. Now, if I'm a United fan, I'm thinking, whoa, hang on a minute. You're telling me that you saw that train coming and you still couldn't get out of the way of it.
Yeah.
That's a coaching problem.
Yeah.
That you've either got a coach you can't coach, or you've got players who aren't listening, or you might have a bit of both. You might have a bit of both. And I'm not saying that Amrin can't coach, but he certainly needs. But he's not going to. Also, he'll die. He'll die at the altar of this 3-man defence.
But again, this goes back to really simple football principles for me, right? They've conceded 53 goals. So anybody coming into that club to manage it would be saying, right, we need to stop conceding goals, right? Is it not an obvious? I don't know if I'm oversimplifying.
Yeah, but what's he got at the back? What's he got defensively?
Playing 3 at the and conceding 53 goals.
So, and I could extend the analogy that when I was talking about Diallo and Bruno, Luke Shaw's playing centre half. Luke Shaw to me will always be a left back all day long. Okay, but he's playing centre half. Amrin does this other thing. It baffles me. And I don't know if I've ever seen it before. Every Man United game I go to, he takes one centre half off after about an hour and puts another one on. Now, in my world of football, you only really change one of your back four if someone's injured or something's going disastrously wrong.
Or you're going to get sent off.
Or you realise it, or he's going to get sent off, or you realise that you've picked the wrong one. Substitutions are about winning football matches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fresh legs. That's
what on earth is that about? Okay. I'm not sure that I've ever seen that before. And again, it takes me back to that conversation that I had with the Sunderland manager, Regis Labrie, at the start of the season when I asked him about how he was going to play. And he said to me, because obviously we've seen teams come up and try and play Hollywood football and go straight back down. And he said to me, he said, when Manchester City have the ball and Arsenal have the ball and they're in their own half and they're placed under pressure, they'll often go long. It's the best way to do it. He said, why would we as Sunderland want to do it any different?